You decided that this is your year for love. But pickings are kind of slim, so you decide to get on a dating app. You're swiping for your life, and then you get a match. You start talking and you realize, I feel like I've caught the most promising fish in the ocean. But because you don't want anybody in your business, you decide to meet at a location that is outside of your area. But when you get there, you realize that you are the fish and you have been caught in a net of lies because you were robbed on what was supposed to be your first date. Could you have avoided this? Let's talk about it. Welcome to another episode of the Socially Safe Podcast, the TTPS podcast where we tell real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. Today's topic is a juicy one, and I'm excited to get into it. But before we do, I want to introduce my special guest on set. To my right, Corporal Liz-Ann Lazarus, a member of the Fraud Squad. And to her right, and back with us again, Corporal Liz-Ann Lazarus of the Cyber and Social Media Unit. Ladies, welcome to set. So glad to have you here at Socially Safe.
Thank you for having me.
All right, okay, so I'm excited about this topic because it is one that we keep seeing happening or showing up over and over again in the headlines. And it's also a very basic one to the human condition. It's all about love and people manipulating others, proclaiming that they love them in order to commit crimes, right? So there are so many headlines about that. And of course, you know, I always ask for the stories, always ask for the cases, ask what you have been seeing lately. So I want to start with you, Liz-Ann. Tell us a little bit about what you do at the Fraud Squad, and tell us if you've seen any sort of love scam come across your desk lately, anything that stood out in your mind, and you know what's happening on the fraud side.
Right. So at the Fraud Squad, I am an investigator as well as I am one of the persons in charge of our registry department. So once a report comes into the Fraud Squad, I will see the report, I would go through it, I'll be able to distribute it for investigations, basically.
Okay.
As it relates to your topic today, romance fraud, that is one of the, at a point in time, was really heavy at the Fraud Squad. So we have a lot of situations where persons, vulnerable persons actually, they got entangled in terms of being scammed of large sums of money because they met persons on social media who thought that probably they would have been in love. And unfortunately, it resulted in financial loss, emotional trauma, and trust being lost, basically.
Oh, wow. It was a lie, it wasn't love.
Yes, it was a lie, no love.
So what are the cases that you've seen across your desk? Because I know we've been talking about behind the scenes, we've been talking about a lot of cases, and some of them have me like shocked, have me opening my eyes widely. So tell us a little bit about at least one you have seen.
So we have, so nobody is exempted from being scammed, but with this romance fraud, we had a lot of females being victims, and we had a age range from between 30 years to 79 years. So we have situations where persons would meet scammers pretending to be ship captains who would send them photos, videos, they would start to converse. We also have persons pretending to be ship captains. Sorry, not ship captains. Persons who are in the U.S. Army. You know, they would converse with these victims for a period about 3 to 4 weeks to months. And eventually, well, they would start to show affection, prey on their vulnerability. They'll show them affection, and then eventually ask for something. So it's either they want help financially to bring, to come to visit them, or they may ask for money to send packages for you.
Yeah.
So they will send pictures of nice shoes, handbags, clothing for these women, and say, you know what, I want to send you this, even money. And then they would say the only thing is customs have to clear it. So you have to send money to particular accounts. These scammers now, they send you local bank accounts. And that's like the biggest red flag.
Yeah.
If it is you live in England or some place away from Trinidad, what connection you have with a local bank account?
Yeah.
You know, so along that line. Now, persons have lost between 200,000, 400,000.
Okay.
Yes,
you
large
you have
sums.
to tell
We're
me
not
that
talking about small
400,000
sums.
story. You have to tell me that 400,000 story. I want to hear about it.
So again, they prey on the vulnerable. So this person was a widow.
Right.
Yes. So obviously she meeting somebody, talking, things that she probably miss. She's now experiencing it with this scammer.
Yeah.
And when he realized, I got her, they would start to send this money. So they will request money for all kind of different purposes. But this money would be paid during a period, not just a one time.
Right.
It would be during the period. They start to converse. He started to build trust with her. And yes.
And she was robbed.
Yes.
So, all right. So, Liz-Ann, tell me a little bit about the MO of these scammers, because Corporal Lazarus here just mentioned over time, you know, like they siphon the money out of you. So what is the MO? Can you describe the MO of some of these scammers?
So what we have seen in the past is that they oftentimes want the connection. They build a connection.
Right.
Once they build that connection, then they start asking for stuff. Some of the things you could look at and ask certain questions as it pertains to sometimes put it on your video, let me see you, you know, that one that you would have spoken about, when they talk about the large sum of money. What do you need that money for? We have to ask these questions, but you will find, as she said, the age group, this person's looking for that comfort, that communication.
Yeah.
You see the age bracket, you're going up to 70-something, it's grannies,
Correct.
you know, elderly people. So, you know, we are encourage people to check up on your family members. You know, we old, or not we, sorry. They are old.
Yeah.
But, you know, make that contact with them because they will go out there to make that connection, and then oftentimes they're being robbed of it. And, you know, it's very sad to see that the age of these people who are getting into these things and being extorted.
So one of the things that I want to highlight, because in terms of speaking about the age, right? Now, I know, with all due respect to our elders,
Yes.
I know some people can be very stubborn,
Yes.
right? And I want you to talk a little bit about, or tell me a little bit about, have you seen where people may be purposely ignoring the red flags, or perhaps not listening, or deciding to keep things a secret because they don't want anybody to interrupt their new love?
I think sometimes the scammers themselves let them know, don't tell your family members. So keep it a secret, you know? So that's one of the reasons why. And then it have some of them, when they come to make the report, they may say, my son and my daughter don't know, you know? You know? Or my husband don't know, you know? So, you know, again, apart from, and the thing is, they know it wrong, because for them to keep it a secret, it had to be wrong, or it just in going in the right direction. But I guess they still do it because, again, for this love and this comfort, you know?
We had an instance with that in relation to with the same scamming of the money. A young lady would have came to our end and she would have lost some money. But same thing as she would have said that she don't want her son to know, because she would have gone online, meet this fella, and they would have told her send X amount of dollars, and she did. But when she realized in the later that is really scam, she being scam, she had to get the son involved, and they would have contacted us, and we would have guided them accordingly where that was. But I mean, the damage was already done, you know. So it's just sad to see that these things are going on with mostly our elderly people. So we have to look out for the red flags, as she was saying, ask the questions, because oftentimes when they build that connection, then they will give you a sad story. My daughter sick, or I have a bill to pay. They want to take back my car, you know. And after that, months or weeks of talking to this person regularly, you feel that you could trust them, and then you send the money. They see they get through once, they're coming again.
Correct. You know, in another conversation, speaking with one of the other corporals at Cyber and Social Media Unit, they talked about social engineering and people manipulating persons, taking advantage of them in their weak areas, and this is definitely one of those
cases.
cases.
Yes,
definitely.
emotional manipulation, correct.
Now, you mentioned the use of local bank accounts. Right? So, does that mean that the TTPS works with local banks in order to try to stem the tide of these types of problems?
Yes, we do. We must. So that's part of our investigations, where we have to go to the banks to get the information from where the money went and how it was the proceeds thereafter.
Right.
Yeah.
Could a bank stop somebody if they want to send their money to?
So actually, I had a case where when the person came to make the report from when she transferred the money, I was able to make communication with the bank, and they was able to pause that transaction, that money, before the person could withdraw it.
Right.
So, and then we do the necessary, and we was able to show that that money was obtained fraudulently, and the bank was able to reverse the transaction.
Okay, that's
in
great.
the nick of time.
That
Yes,
is great.
because normally they move quickly.
Yeah.
So from the time they get a money in their account, they have somebody on hold ready to withdraw that.
withdraw.
Yes.
Because, sometimes people send money to all sorts of different recipients.
Correct.
Right? And it's only when they realize, but this person's no longer responding, that is when, they may get in contact with the
Correct.
TTPS with fraud, yeah?
And funny enough, these scammers now, they give the victims multiple accounts. So it may not be the same bank.
Yeah.
It will be different banks, different accounts.
See, and there's a red flag in itself. So
Yeah.
people have to be wise and,
Correct.
because if I meet you in Dubai, I'm just calling a country,
Yeah.
and you giving me a Scotia account. So you have people in Trinidad, people here.
Exactly,
You
you
have to
ask these
ask these
questions.
questions
Yeah.
because how you get an account number.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
So
important.
apply a little bit of critical thinking. So
Yeah.
you're not seeing this happening with younger. Do you have any cases of anybody who is younger or anybody who may not be the elderly or older person?
So the most recent that we had with a younger person, the thing is, actually the parent met the scammer online, and then the parent introduced the daughter to
Really?
scam. Correct. And then from there they start the conversation, and boom, shut. Money being transferred to him.
So what was the hope in doing that?
Well, I guess the mother thought she found a match for
her daughter.
Because
Really?
he appeared to be an established individual.
Right.
So there's one thing I definitely need to touch on, and that is the use of dating apps, specifically Grindr. Because that is something that has come up over and over and over and over again, right? Now, Grindr is not the only dating app that is used in Trinidad and Tobago.
No.
I myself have been on dating apps.
Yeah.
There's OkCupid, there's Tinder, there's
Bumble and stuff.
But what is it you think specifically about that app that leads to persons ending up in situations where they are robbed and other crimes are taking place?
Okay, so the Grindr app is it's more geared to a particular masculinity, if I want to use
a lifestyle,
that word.
a particular lifestyle, yeah.
Right. And so persons go on there to meet persons with the hope that it's going to be discreet.
Right.
However, when it comes to that time when you have to meet up with the person, this is where readers get into some trouble, because when a person is asking you to meet a particular place, those things are not as red flags, because how you would tell me, meet me in Carnage,
Meet
Big
on
Yard.
George Street. Who going on George Street to meet somebody?
You
Try to
know,
meet on an app.
And,
Yeah.
and then the
Honestly.
time and they want you to meet, these things should be, but again, as I say, when you build that connection in the earlies, they
The
build that
trust.
trust, and they figure, well, hey, we don't want nobody to see, so come meet me in this closed area, and that is where the crime takes place. So I often tell persons, if, we have to give them advice, meet in a public space, tell somebody, even if we are feeling ashamed or whatever, we're thinking about the safety aspect of it. Tell somebody, or have somebody come but stay afar. They don't have to be there in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm realizing the common thread running through most of these stories where people are scammed, that there's a social need that needs to be fulfilled, whether it's loneliness, whether you want privacy, you want discretion, or you're hoping to make a love match for your child.
Correct.
There's a thread of wanting to make that connection and almost suspending things that's sensible.
Yeah.
Being desperate after these things. So there's a sense of which you have to ask yourself, am I operating from a space of desperation?
Yeah.
Should I kind of think twice about these things, right?
That should be at the forefront. Definitely.
I mean, absolutely. All right, so, of course, we always take it to the streets. So in this episode's segment of Streetwise, we ask persons whether they know it's love or it's lies when they meet somebody online and they make a romantic connection. This is what they had to say.
That's a a tough one to figure out because not everybody would, I guess, a lot of people have like, I guess, attachments, and they form attachments very quickly, and they want that instant connection very quickly. But I think when you have to ask questions, and I think communication is like the bare minimum, the standard baseline. You ask questions, and if you find that the person is asking you questions about if you're earning a certain type of amount, or like those are things that should raise a red flag, and that's where the level of discernment comes in. And it's something that I think it's just to be extra cautious.
You really never know. I just just based on how the person is responding to you, what they're saying, what the conversations look like, then you could know if it's something that you want to pursue, and if it's something that it doesn't really make much sense.
You should think carefully before you enter into any relationship online. Think carefully and look at the person, get some information, like do a private search yourself on a person. Say, for example, you might see a person looking appealing to you, right? And if you really go and see this person down the road, may not be the same person you see, because it happened to a friend of mine. He saw this girl, he had this relationship with a girl online, and when he saw the person is not also, because they use fillers and they put tears and whatnot.
They might be legit, as well as they might not be, so something public to make certain that you're not being scammed or getting something in a particular area. But then you have to kind of feel it out and see who they are and what's happening. So it's kind of iffy. One of those things are really iffy. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint what might be right and what might be wrong in that particular area. So those apps are very, very tricky, I think. So it's up to you to decide if the risk is worth it or not. For me, it's not. So no. I like to meet people face to face. That's better. But I'm married, so that's okay.
I want to get to know the person well, right? And if it comes to meeting up with the person, I would rather it be in a very public and open space. I'd rather not go anywhere secluded, like going and meet them at their house. You can meet me at Rituals. Or Starbucks. One of the two.
Okay, so that was our Streetwise segment. Okay, ladies, so let's talk a little bit about some of the responses we got on the street, right? First things first, I love our girl's answer here about, do some research, run a private investigation.
Yes,
you have to become your own FBI. You have to get, even if you can't do it, talk to your friends. I'm pretty sure that they could run. I have a friend, I don't think the CIA or the FBI or the TTPS could beat her back when it comes to investigating people online. So what are your thoughts on some of the things people have said?
Half of the things that they said is actually true. However, some of the reports at Fraud Squad is mainly through Facebook, and these persons say that they live abroad. So it may be a little more difficult to go and do some research on them as opposed to somebody who is local.
Right.
Yeah?
Right. As in the scammer is abroad?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
The scammer is abroad.
Right. Now, what are your thoughts on what they said? Of course, all the answers tend to sound good. It tend to sound, but then you still get reports that people are coming.
But I agree with you. I actually know someone who does the private investigation. Like, people come to him for that service.
Really?
Yeah, they meet people online and they say, well, listen, I meet this person, this is their account or whatever, do something for me, give me some feedback. That's actually like his business. So when the young lady said that, I was like, yeah, I like that, because it's already happening. Yeah. And then when she speak about the other lady with the discernment and the communication, have to go together, because, when the question is like, how do you really know? And in order to know something, you have to ask the questions. So I guess it's over a period of time and asking the correct questions to kind of get yourself familiar with the person.
Now, I think there's a bit of a fallacy in the sense that you think the longer you spend talking to this person before you meet them, there's a lower likelihood of you being fooled. But I get to realize it has nothing to do with the length of time, right?
No. These people have patience,
Yes,
they will
they
carry
do.
the distance
Correct.
because they know what their modus is.
Yes.
Yes.
So it really comes down to what you're asking, and also the answers that you are getting, and and your ability to discern, because somebody spoke about discernment. So what are some of the questions people should be asking, and what are some of the things they should be looking out for in these responses?
Well, for me, I'm just putting myself
Yeah,
in their
yeah.
shoes. I would, even if it's somebody abroad, definitely I will ask if you know persons in Trinidad. Have you ever been to Trinidad? Which part you have been to hear the responses of the person. If they say they've never been to Trinidad again, and the example I gave before, but you give me Trinidad in account, I'm like,
correct.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things we have to look out for. Family members, because sometimes they will say, I have kids or whatever, or I don't have kids. And then during the conversation, they're asking for money. My daughter's sick. And I'll be like, but did you not say you didn't have kids? So we have to be very vigilant, even though we're online, and ask those questions to find out, because these people are really slick. And again, when they make that connection, then you hear the questions start coming in. You start to hear the sad stories.
Correct.
I don't have money for this, or I need money for this, or I have a business, I want you to invest, and so forth. So, yeah.
Yeah. What about?
From the time they said, don't tell your family members, keep it a secret, red flag. Ask why. So why not to tell my daughter? Why not to tell my son? Things like that, yes?
Yeah. But, personally, there was a time I met this person on a dating app. And we were having a good talk. And then they asked me for some money. I said, excuse me, sir, that's against my religion. I don't give men money. That's also the question.
One time red flag.
Immediately. So sometimes you have to be really strict, and you can't allow the potential for losing this person to dissuade you from, putting your foot down, because this person does not have good intentions anyway.
Exactly.
So you have to be super duper strict. So something else I want to touch on. I want to talk about, you mentioned before, sometimes people feel self-conscious making these reports. Because when it comes to matters of the heart, somebody wants to tell me to be in love is to be stupid, right? So when it comes to matters of the heart, sometimes you find yourself suspending your judgment more frequently than you should. And when you actually come to your senses and you have to make this report, you're like, I'm feeling so embarrassed to actually go and tell the police. So tell us a little bit about how you would advise persons dealing with those types of feelings when it comes to reporting these issues.
Not to be embarrassed, because at the end of the day, you were scammed. And in order for the police to assist you in catching these perpetrators, because again, these are local accounts used, then we need all the information possible. You need to come out and tell us the truth. Forget your husband, your children. You need to come and talk to the police, so we will be able to assist you better and help prevent this from happening further to you or anybody else.
You need to be truthful about that, because that's the only way we are able to help. If you come and fabricate a story and we go based on that, then we wouldn't be able to help you. So is what's important to you. It happened. It's an unfortunate situation. It could happen to anybody. But come out and let us know. We'll be sympathetic about the whole situation, because this is life. It happens, and we'll help you to the best of our ability.
100%.
I had a situation where I was actually taking a report a few years back from a lady. She came with her husband to make the report. Same romance. And because of the fact during that period we had a lot of reports coming in, based on the storyline, I knew where it was heading. But she wanted to hold back some info, so I had to take her outside and say, understand your husband is there. Either you let him out the room, or you leave him in the room so he would know what actually took place, but I need to get the full story.
Correct.
And she eventually tell him, this is the situation, and we went smoothly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
she
the
wanted
truth,
to pull back information.
Yes, because the truth shall set you free and lock them up. That's what it will do. All right. Okay, so ladies, I think this was a really good one. So give me your final thoughts. What would you advise people? Top 3 things that you would advise people from a fraud perspective that are immediate signs that this is not love, it's lies.
Okay, so I would like them to, from the time they ask for money to local bank accounts, red flag. They would tend to push for relationships faster. So they will push for this commitment. You now meet them, and within 2 to 3 weeks, they start to talk love, commitment, red flags.
How about you?
Oh, okay. For me, if you have to date, you do it in a safe space. meaning you go to a public place, tell somebody, as much as we want to keep our life private, it can be done, but I know there's somebody you can trust.
Yeah.
Let them know, and don't ever meet in a secluded place or by yourself.
Yeah.
Safety is important, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would personally add that it's important that you operate in spaces that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Don't let people take you into the back of some obscure street or the back of some unknown space,
Yeah.
especially if you have this idea, I don't want people in my business, which is a mindset that can actually get you in trouble.
Correct. Yeah.
If you are going to meet somebody that you've never met before, you should let somebody know.
Yes.
And just to add to that, the cell phones.
Yes.
Share your location.
Yeah.
Leave it on. Let me just say you decide to go privately or whatever. In the event it takes a wrong turn, we could still locate if it reached that far. So share the location or share the information so at least somebody will know where your last known location was.
Yeah. So you know we love you and we will never lie to you. So if you want to see more episodes just like this one, go to the TTPS YouTube right now and subscribe. And if you would like to listen on the go, you can access this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Once again, Trinidad and Tobago, thanks for watching. And remember, don't just stay safe, stay socially safe.